Hello, and once again, welcome to the Far From Normal Radio Show. I am Jay Moss, your host, and I have my co-host, as always, my right-hand man here, Mr. Bud Vino. How are you doing this evening, Bud?
Yo, and yo, my brother from another mother, Jay Money Moss, April 24th, 2018. Oh, Jay, you know, my two favorite drinks when I'm doing these shows are Diet Pepsi and Gatorade, and I've got both tonight. I'm double fisting it tonight, Jay. You know it's going to be a good show, baby. April 24th, our sister from another mister from Florida. I can feel her energy tonight, Jessie Weiner. How you doing, Jess?
Hey, guys. I'm great. How are you?
Amazing.
Awesome. Jay.
Yes.
We have had an awesome 2 weeks.
Yes, we have.
The past two shows, we've done over 4,000 last week and about almost 3,600. So I want to say thank you to all the listeners out there who listen, who have interacted. We appreciate it. It's getting better and better. We love you. Thank you. I want to preface with that, Jay.
Yes, definitely. And right now, on here, you definitely want to share the show as much as possible, because quite frankly, they're so scared that I just got I tried to be hacked for the second week in a row. They've tried to hack my Facebook. So this is 2 weeks in a row they've tried this, and we've got it taken care of. So
they just make us look better, Jay, fashionably late,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're used to it by now, and I got the hacking. And so, by the way, I'll be tracing your IP address after the show. Just letting you know.
It's going to go right back. I hope it doesn't go to my house.
Yeah. Awesome. So we're going to have an awesome guest this evening, and I'm going to bring her in without further ado here. Michelle Williams. And Michelle is a activist in Florida. She's an amazing woman who also does a radio show. Jesse was on that radio show, an amazing job on that radio show this last weekend. And just great stuff. So we're absolutely happy to have Michelle Williams with us. How are you doing this evening, Michelle?
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much for coming on the show, and I'm sure my co-host would like to thank you as well.
Absolutely, Michelle. Bud Vino here. As I said in the quote-unquote green room, this is going to be a great show. I can feel the energy, and I've seen a lot of your videos, and I watched Jesse's show with you the other on Saturday, and incredible, excited. Thanks for joining us.
I always tell people I'm not responsible for the truth.
Well, there you go.
That's absolutely true.
There you go. Perfect.
Michelle, here, I want to kind of start off by giving a preference as to a preface, so to speak, as to the activism that you're part of. What types of activism do you do in your community? And the second part of that is definitely what drew you to become an activist?
Well, let's start with the second question first. Mm-hmm. My uncle was placed in a horrible situation. I was like 19 years old and had enough common sense and always had a love and thrill and excitement about the law. And he was being accused of murder. And I'm just like, well, how can he murder someone when he wasn't even in the country? He was in the army and he was on tour. So how was he able to be picked up in a lineup? So nonetheless, my uncle, he was arrested and he was thrown into a Florida State prison, and he ended up getting exonerated. He took his money that he had and put me through school, and I thank him every day for that. And then as I started to get older, I was a young mother, and I was going through a divorce from my daughter's father. And I applied for Section 8, and I got on Section 8. And I used that as a stepping stone. I set a 5-year goal. In 5 years, I don't want to be a government, whore. I want to be off the system. And I want to, and I met that goal. I met that goal in 3 years. And while I was on the system, I'm just like, well, I always felt uneasy because I'm just like, well, they want to know, who's living with me, how much money I'm making, how many hours I'm going to school. I'm just like, I'm just not so used to putting people in my business like that, right. But nonetheless, I needed it because I was a young mother and I was single and, and a divorcee. So I did what I had to do to survive at that moment. And then I started fighting. I started fighting against the HUD department because they were so crooked and corrupt about how they were, using these women, keeping them, you know what I'm saying, disenfranchised from society and keeping them on the program. They were enabling these mothers to stay on the program so they can keep getting all this grant fund, all these grants they were writing, and all these federal dollars. So that took one part. Never losing my love for the prison system. I started a prison ministry 17 years ago, and I go and visit, inmates throughout the state of Florida at the county jails, and well, they won't let me in the prisons anymore, so I can't go into prison. I can't go into prisons, so I can only go into the local county jails, I guess, so they can keep a tab on me closer that way. So, and now I'm battling with all of the public corruption, so it's just like, my hand is like the octopus lady, I got the plate, and I just turn my body when my hands need to be there. I'm always there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So some of the activism I know that you're doing in that community, obviously you've had and had some major run-ins with some judges, obviously, and wanted you to be able to explain some of those things that you've been able to accomplish with that as well.
Well, yeah, we were, well, I wouldn't say per se really run-ins with myself, but just reminding them that they are elected officials, and that
right.
We thought enough of them to put them with those black robes on, and and a lot of them have let that power go to their head. It's like it's like an orgasm, a judicial orgasm. That's what they have all the time, judicial orgasm. And some of them think that they're little mini gods. Some of them think that they're mini gods. When they put that robe on, they say, I want to go see who I can, bend over and put no grease on them and see who I can send to prison. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
So I just, I'm sorry, but they are not above the law themselves. These judges think that they are above the law, and they are not above the law. They have skeletons in their closet just like anyone else. Just like I told them, you may be able to mount yours a little bit better than I'll be able to put mine in, but if I open up the damn door, yours is going to fall out just as well as mine. So we're dealing with the issue here in the state of Florida now, Jay, and everyone, that we have 900 judicial judges in the state of Florida. Mm-hmm. Only 62 are African American and Latino. So, you know what I'm saying? That's a huge problem. And it's just like, I don't know what buck dancing looks like. So I'm not one of those activists that say, oh, Massa, I'm going to do what you tell me to do. No, I'm going to go against the grain because I want accountability and transparency. And like I say, some of these judges, the citizen guidelines is unfair. The racial disparities are real in the state of Florida, guys. And, it's horrible, but I'm just on a transparency, choo-choo train right now. Either you give it to us or we gonna expose you. So that's where we are right now, and we've been able to expose a lot of judges these days.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right, because we have a lot of the judicial misconduct, unfortunately, that's going on, where they're not paying attention to the federal laws, and they're violating people's constitutional rights left and right, and imprisoning a lot of people. And I call this, and tell me, I don't know if I can say tell me if I'm wrong on this one, but I think what we're seeing here, and we've seen it in the African American community for years, and that's another reason why I wanted you to come on, is because we've seen it in the African American community for years, where men become fatherless, and they end up taking or making the child support so extremely high that either the dad runs away from his responsibilities, or they try and imprison the guy, and he's trying to make it, he's trying to be in this child's life. That happened for years, and now it's happening to everyone. So on this particular playing field, I'm saying at this particular point in time, this is I don't think it's an African American thing. I don't think it's a white thing. I don't think it's a Mexican thing. I don't think it's or should I say Latino, Asian thing. I don't think it's any of that. I think this is an economic war that the haves and the have-nots are going to war. And I'm seeing that. I don't know about you.
Exactly. And, I just want to piggyback off something that you said, like 2 minutes ago. when it comes to the child support disenfranchisement, you know, we have to understand, you know, Jesse and I spoke about it on my radio program on Saturday. It's a creative design plan. Dr. King, before he was assassinated by the federal government, you know, Dr. King, when he did this speech, you know what I'm saying, I Have a Dream, you know, in Washington, D.C., he said that the government they will be so clever that they will do things, it's called creative suffering. So they put this creative suffering in guidelines and made it federal laws, and now it's state laws. But you know, Jay, it's just like the breakdown. If the government can have Tom's thumb on poor women, like you say, black, white, or indifference, we're colorblind right now on the segment. We're colorblind because it is affecting everyone: white women, black women, Asian women, Chinese women, you know, Philippine women. It's affecting everyone. It's affecting every father. It does not matter what color you are. And it's been a creative suffering plan that the federal government has, that, you know what, let's keep them poor, disenfranchised. Let's take the baby daddies away from them so we can keep being the pimp. You know, I told Jesse, you know, on Saturday on my radio program, we are in a real reality show of pimps up, hoes down, because the pimp, the federal government, and the hoes are the goddamn women who say, well, you know what? What's going to happen to me if they take my food stamp away from me? And what's going to happen to me if they take my Section 8 voucher away from me? And I'm a spade caller. I love to gamble. Lord knows, in heaven, in the universe, I love to gamble. But I'm a truth bearer of the truth. And I say it all the time. The truth is like rain. I don't care who it fall on. If you don't have vagina control, it's not my responsibility as a taxpayer to take care of your children. That's now, right. I'm tired of being sick and tired. Now, if you can't control your vagina, then sew it up. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how your radio program go, but every now and then I come. So I try to ask God, bridle my tongue so I don't come too. You know what I'm saying? Because I want us to gain this momentum. But it's not taxpayers' responsibilities. And I created a firestorm in the black community because they were just like, well, wait a minute, Miss Michelle. Wait a minute. I don't understand you. No, I've been saying it for the last 10 years. Where have you been? We have to stop the cycle of teenage pregnancy. We need to stop the cycle of unwed women having children. We need to stop this cycle. This cycle is so repetitive and is so redundant. It drives me crazy. So then I got my black friends today telling me, oh, you know what? You sound like a Republican. I said, well, the last time I checked, that's what my voter registration card said.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You know, Michelle, we kind of talked about it on Saturday's show, and it's something, you know, I talk about all the time. It's a systematic, it's a system that is in place for the sole purpose of keeping the disenfranchised, because by maintaining an order, a world that is in poverty, they can maintain control and power over that system. So instead of, you know, part of us in this movement, whether it's father's rights movement or, you know, true feminist equality, true women equality, or parental rights, however you want to say it, it's about empowering these women. So when these women come to us and, you know, say, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to lose my food stamps. I'm going to lose this. It's about empowering them to make that 5-year plan and then accomplish it in 3, or figure out how to work with the father to create a homeostatic relationship where self-sufficiency can be gained. And that's the empowerment piece that I think a lot is missing. And in that empowerment, our system continues to have disenfranchised populations. They continue with their federal funding. They continue with their system, which in my opinion is a pure legal U.S. child trafficking system that our states and our federal government is making money off of. Right? And in that, we keep an oppressed society. And then in keeping an oppressed society, we keep an ignorant society. Because right. If you don't know, then you continue to live in poverty, continue to be dependent upon the system, and then continue to just be ignorant. And you're not going to look into things like Title IV defunding. I mean, you and I discussed that at great length on Saturday. I followed it up with that document, which, you know, it's sickeningly disgusting when our states are making $35 million off of our children.
Well, guess what? You know, those, I haven't shared that on my Facebook post yet, because I find most, I get the most of my followers, the most of my 20-something thousand followers, they follow me between the hours of 9 and midnight. So I'm going to make a post about that. Let me tell you something. You want to move them to get this quote unquote feminist movement going along? Let them help us know, honey, your pimp taking your money. He ain't giving you all this money because your pimp say he need to make sure that he get his cut. And that's $35 million. That's a hell of a cut in the state of Florida for them to be collecting this money. That's a hell of, I don't know what their cars look like, but I know what these houses look like and these apartments look like in the projects. And they dilapidated and they deplorable. So if the hoes want to keep the pimps happy and satisfied and eating better than them and keeping them in the fine house, honey, let's go. I keep watching pimps up, hoes down all day long.
Yeah, and I agree. And we just had released, and we'll talk about it more in our second hour, obviously. But I had released a video not too long ago in reference to an attorney who went before the Illinois board because they were going before HB 4113, talking about a shared parenting bill, and the attorney said outright, we could lose our federal funding for welfare. Straight out said it.
Which is ridiculous. This is preposterous. This is a conflict of interest. This is a violation of due process. They're openly admitting that they are dictating time-sharing plans based on child support. And they are admitting that they have a vested interest in continuing the fatherlessness in our nation. It's deplorable.
Right. And
well,
so,
just take a deeper look at that. Take a deeper look at it. See, because I'm like one of those activists that gets to the root of the problem. The root is that if they can keep the fathers away from the children, if we can keep society with bastard children, guess what? A child growing up in a home is going to be more likely, 9 out of 10 times more likely to become a criminal than a child who was raised in a two-parent household. So guess what? Not only are we disenfranchising the children away from their fathers, but guess what? Now we're making the penal system across the U.S. We're making that, you know what I'm saying? In the state of Florida now, Rick Scott, the governor of the state of Florida, he gets $3 billion a year from the federal government now.
Yes, he
does. Yes, he does. $3 billion.
wow.
85% of our prison population in Florida is comprised of fatherless children. A child raised in the state of Florida with only one mom, right, and the father visitor every other weekend and Wednesday night dinners is 20 times more likely to end up in jail or prison than a child who has equal access to both parents. They're 7 times more likely to become a teen pregnancy statistic, and 44% more likely to be living in poverty.
Right. And that's some of the detail that also a lot of the women out there don't know as well. This is rounding off on women as well, because we have women who are losing custody at a rate that is unbelievable as well now. It's kind of reversed in a lot of states like Iowa. Iowa's very bad for some women out there who have gone through custody issues, and it really amounts to keeping the poor more poor while the wealthier get wealthier. And what ends up happening is it's not necessarily our non-custodial parents so much that are losing out. It's our children. Our children are the ones who are being affected more than anyone else. So I know in your community, Michelle, as well, obviously you're going to see a lot of that and the results of that. The community, especially when you're talking about our children who grow up in a one parent or no parent type of household, and how that affects our penal system. And unfortunately, that penal system is overcrowded, correct?
It's true. This is true. And and something that, my mother and my father reminds me this all the time. I grew up in a Pentecostal church. And it was, and I studied the Bible. I actually have a bachelor's degree in theology because I wanted to know what was how were these Christians and pastors able to control the minds of the people? And then, this scripture is perfect for our conversation that we have. For the love of money is the root of all evil. these pimps, they love the money, they love the lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? They love this. Look at that. We just had a prison warden just got caught with his hands in the cookie jar. You know what I'm saying? He took $750,000 from commissary and he bought this big old beautiful house down in Miami, Florida. You know, so it's for the love of money is the root of all evil. So the more money they make, the more the process is, the more evil intentions that they have. And this is what's happening to the disenfranchised of fathers away from their children. This is some evil, demonic, satanic, to me, crap. You know what I'm saying? It really, truly, truly is. And I was born in Haiti. And I've seen some stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, but this is some mess. These pimps, they got it. I want to know what their goblets look like. I need to get me one of them. That's what I'm talking about.
I think it's interesting.
I need to get me a pimp goblet.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that you said, obviously, it's on a satanic type of realm, because you've got the actual child support order, actual USC code is 42 USC 666. That tells you a lot.
I mean, you can't get any deeper than that, Jay. You can't get any deeper than that.
Yeah, so, I mean, it tells you a lot. Go ahead, Justin.
When we, think about our federal government and, the what I refer to as, the largest U.S. trafficking, child trafficking system in the U.S. and the money that, they're making off of our, children. Think about like the true corruption that these people have after us, because I think that runs deep.
Yeah. It does. It truly does.
Yeah, I was definitely going to say that as well. I just think that I can't get my head around the fact that we've seen this for so long. We've seen it for so long, and unfortunately, some of us within this movement and some other movements out there have turned our anger out, maybe a little too much, our anger and our discontentment, and put it into picket signs, and there's nothing wrong with expressing your right and your freedom of speech, but maybe if it was channeled into building more relationships with legislators to actively talk about and build those relationships, and where they can stand up for you. They're your elected official, and if they're not doing their job, I think actually there was a poll, Michelle, this will be interesting for you. There was a poll on HB 4113 again. I'm going to refer back to that again since it's Illinois and I'm here. There was a poll done that said if your elected official does not vote for HB 4113, would you go and vote against them next election? 85% of the people said we would vote again. And
that should be the voice of the people that our legislators are listening to. Because Michelle and I live not far from each other. And so we share the same great Governor Rick Scott, who I pretty much despise. We had Senate Bill 2016, Senate Bill 668 and 250, which Senate Bill 668 was supported 74-38 by House and Senate, and our governor vetoed the bill. Like, if this, at the very least, and not to change this into a political conversation, because it's not what I'm trying to do, but at the very least, when our legislators are listening to their constituents and voting in the direction that their majority of constituents, are requesting that they vote, then he should have supported that. He should have supported it. He ignored the voice of the people. He ignored the voice of his legislative body. He ignored it all, and then he wants to sit here and run for U.S. Senate, where he could probably milk more Title 40 funding dollars from. I'm so livid. Yeah.
And I think
it's going to be kind of hard for him to beat, you know what I'm saying? I don't know whose face looks worse, because Rick Scott looked like Fire Marshal Bill from In Living Color, and I haven't been able to hide. I haven't been quite able to find who Bill Nelson looked like, but it's gonna be hard for him to, you know what I'm saying? Rick Scott gonna have to really come with some pain to beat that old Democrat right there. He gonna have to really come with some pain right there. Because you know, I don't think Florida is ready to. Florida would rather be cozy with Bill Nelson than to be, you know what I'm saying, than to have Rick Scott in there. So you know, that's going to be an interesting run right there.
Yeah, and a lot of these political races, you're talking about the lesser of two evils on a lot of these different things. But I think that we're going to have to start in this country realizing that there's more than two parties out there.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And if you've got somebody who's going to step up for your agenda, that's who you need to vote for and not worry about, are they Republican or are they Democrat? We've had them on this show where we've had Republican, we've had a Democrat on the show, we've had two Libertarians. So we are, what would you say, tripartisan? So,
yeah.
There he is.
Yes, definitely Mr. Bud Vino.
Yes, well, the first thing I want to say is, for those curious out there, season 1 of In Living Color is on Amazon Prime because our guest mentioned In Living Color, which I love, and season 1 is available now. I noticed that the other day, so there's that. And a wonderful interaction, and you have quite the colorful way of describing things, Michelle, which I can relate to that. So awesome.
I love it.
Yes. I call that, what do we say? We call that,
go over well in DC. That's what my sign would say.
yeah, we call that blunt force honesty, right, Jay?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I love
blunt
it.
force
I love
honesty, and I do too. And I know Randy Davis did a specific episode of The Watchmen called "The Horrors of the Court."
Rev it up.
And I think that is true.
I know who he looks like now. Bill Nelson looks like Lord Farquaad from the Shrek. That shade.
The wheels were turning.
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Our two senators in this area, because we share the same area, it's gonna, you know, the two runners right now are Rick Scott and Bill Nelson. Do you stick with the status quo in the suit that really doesn't do anything, or do you go with the Skeletor in a suit that is gonna damn Florida more than he's already damned it?
Yeah. And Michelle, if we've mentioned before, if you haven't listened, that Rick Scott is not invited to Jesse's this year for Thanksgiving.
Oh, I know. I heard.
This year.
She
no
can't
turkey.
She can't even bring a Christmas gift, and she gonna be outside the door. They gonna stop.
No turkey for Rick this year at the Weiner House.
Definitely
No.
not. I think that unfortunately Rick has done himself in. It's unfortunate for him, but at the same time, it's a good thing. Change is a good thing. People, we have so many people who are going through this difficult system, and they realize that their lives have completely changed and done a 180 because what used to be normal for them is no longer normal. And so you've got to get used to the change. Yes, it is. And the thing is, you have to envision your goal of what you want to accomplish. And I think just like what you're saying, Michelle, when you have people who are on the welfare system, there has to be an envisionment of where you want to go and how you want to get off of welfare. And you don't want to be on welfare forever. And quite frankly, Trump is talking about shutting it down. So definitely, I think that's a great aspect. I know that you have more on that as well, because I heard some of your conversation on the welfare system and how ladies and men need to get off the welfare system.
Yeah, you know, and let me tell you something. You know, I for 10 years I've been advocating for the voiceless and the poor here in the Tampa Bay area. You know what I'm saying? And you know, and like I say, my activism has reached across this country because I've done a lot of traveling outside of the U.S. also. You know, but my biggest thing is that the Section 8 program, Jay, and to everyone. That program is supposed to help women purchase homes, but that's the little fine print clause that the women forget to read. That if you participate in the family self-sufficiency part of the Section 8 housing program, we will buy this house for you and you will become a homeowner. But it's so much easier because when those women get in there, oh, thank you, Lord, honey, Boo-Boo Kitty, I'm not on the wait list no more. I done got my Section 8, baby. I'm just gonna live rent-free, honey. You know what I'm saying? So they don't read the fine print that said if you get off your ass, you can own this home and get a goddamn job. You can own this home and probably have several more. But that's the fine print that they don't want to read. So when I go over there and say, hey, look, why don't you guys get inside the FSS program? You know what I'm saying? So you can purchase a home through Section 8. No, it's so much easier for you to lay on your lazy ass and have more children so you get more food stamps and get more welfare. I don't care who gets pissed off at this. You know what? Let me tell you something. I wear a size 7.5 shoe. Sometimes I buy 8, depending on whether or not how cheap I can go to Walmart and buy a size 8. But if I'm going to Dillard's or somewhere like that, I'm going to buy my right size so I can kick somebody's ass.
Make sure it fits right.
I don't care about their feelings. I do not care about their feelings. I think it should be against the law for women to have children born into poverty. If you know that your monkey ass can't fucking take care of no children, you don't need to be around here having them, point blank to the period. Why would you improvise a child when you know you can't take care of it? Now that child will never leave its tax bracket of poor. That child will know what it means to have a blue house with a white picket fence and 2.3 sisters and brothers and a dog in the backyard. That child will never know what it means because you would just that disenfranchised from reality that you want your pimp, the federal government, to keep you poor. I don't put up with bullshit. I don't put up with it.
Michelle, it seems like you have the same. You don't mince words, much like Jesse. I can see where you guys hit it off. Michelle, I wish you'd tell us how you truly felt. You can let it out. You can let it out here on the show, please. Feel free. We love it. We love it. Blood, force, honesty, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
Listen, and this is real life stuff. I can remember working a job, going to school full time, raising 3 kids alone because their dads weren't in the picture by choice. Okay. And the girl down the road from me is living in a 3-story house on the beach, on HUD, getting Medicaid, getting food stamps, you know, going to college online so she didn't even have to leave her home, and drawing something like $25,000 a year in financial aid. You know, this is real shit. She got a $300 utility check every month, and I'm living in a 2-bedroom condo with my 3 kids just trying to make it so I could be better, so I could be self-sufficient. You know, you women want to sit here and bullshit and act like you want to be independent. No, you don't, because you make more money sitting home doing nothing.
Right.
Well, let me tell you something. It is a reality. It is a reality. See, when they allow the pimps, see, a pimp, it is, let me tell you something. Let me break it down to you, just like I broke it down to Jesse. It is a pimp's job to take care of his horse. Mm-hmm. That pimp gonna make sure that she got Medicaid, because he need to make sure that her vagina is working and disease and STD free. You understand me? So that when that pimp keeps throwing all of these royalties at these women every month, if you have another baby, I'm gonna up your cash assistance. I'm gonna up your food stamps. I'm gonna up your utility allowance checks, your UCAs. I'm gonna up all of this, but all you got to do is just keep being loyal to me. You keep popping them babies out that vagina, and I'm gonna keep taking care of you. I mean, I don't, like I say, I don't, fuck your feelings. That's where I'm at. I don't care about your feelings. I care about these children being born into societal elements where they will never have a fighting chance. They will never, ever have a fighting chance to know. Let me tell you something, y'all. I did this study last summer myself. I took my own funds and I did it. I knocked on more than 1,500 doors in a Black community. I went and bought a map from the county and targeted my areas and asked parents and students, have you ever been to Lakeland? Do you know what Plant City, Florida looks like? Where all the farmers are, where the good strawberries and the blueberries grow. Have you ever been outside of this radius that you live in? And out of the 1,500, only 301 said yes, that they've ever traveled throughout the state of Florida and been on a vacation and went to another state. That is a problem. Children being born into an impoverished situation where they will never even leave their neighborhood, their hood, and they wonder why gang banging, and they wonder because these kids don't have anything to lose because they don't have anything to live for.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And and I want to pass it back on the dads as well. I mean, you say obviously there's a lot out there that are lacking vagina control, but I want to pass it back on the guys too. There's a lot of you that lack penis control, and I'm going to be quite honest.
Pillow talk. That's called pillow talk. I told Jesse that on Saturday. You know what I'm saying? You get these men who get these women and say, "Come on, baby, I want you to have a baby for me." And she said, "Okay, daddy. Okay, daddy. Together forever. Okay, daddy." Now here she goes. She going to doctor's appointments by herself. She having the baby by herself. She trying to contact him. He telling her, "Oh, you were just a hoe. You was just a one-night stand." See, the cycle don't end. The cycle doesn't end. That's why I tell women, you need to do your research on your children's father, because 9 times out of 10, if a man comes from a broken family, he gonna leave you broken.
Yep.
Well, that's what they know.
Yeah.
You know, that's what the majority of these men know. That, and the other aspect of it is, you know, a lot of them get so tired and so broke from fighting for so long just to be equal that it's painstakingly hurtful. You know, they literally take their own lives because they just can't take it anymore, or they walk away.
Not only equal, just be able to see it.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
Well, Jay, I think we've talked about this too, right? People, especially children, they practice what they see, not what they hear. And it's, as a society, as we've talked about before too, we've forgotten how to have healthy relationships. We don't know how to. We don't know how to problem solve. As Jessica said, we devalue relationships, marriages. There's no loyalty anymore. It's just a word for most people. So again, it's about follow through and teaching people. You know, and that's what it's about, teaching people a different way. And I think, Michelle, you brought up that's a really sad fact about the 1,500 doors you knocked on, and 300 or so had ever been out of that area. There's a lot to be said for that.
Mm-hmm.
It is a sad reality that we have children that don't even know what the inside of they've never been in the inside of a mall, because what are you going in there for? You don't have any money.
Right.
You don't have any money. So my goal this summer is I've met a few millionaires who live in Tampa, and what we're gonna do, we are actually renting 5 coach buses, luxury coach buses, and we're actually going to take the children on a tour. We're going on a tour of the state of Florida to show these kids that, you know what, if you get good grades in school, if you pull your goddamn pants up, okay? If you want
I love her. I love that, Michelle. I love you. I'm glad you found it well.
If you want something, you got to dress for it. Every day I get up and dress for success. I may not have $1 in my pocket, but I get up and dress for success because I never know at that precise moment, at that right time, that opportunity is going to knock on my door and say, "Hey, I want you over here."
Yeah.
Thank you. And Michelle, also, I always say that too. Even, it just makes you feel better and motivates you anyway. Get up, even if you don't have any real plans that day. Take a shower. Get dressed, make yourself feel good about yourself. That positive energy and that positive feeling about yourself will translate. Absolutely.
I call that fake it until you make it. So, Michelle, I would love to help you in whatever I can to facilitate or be a part of that. Please reach out to me. I really look forward to actually working very closely with you in bringing Florida into a new age and a new era. And also saying that, I think part of that is showing our kids that there is another way of life, that there is an escape from the poverty, that they don't have to be another statistic, that there's an entire world out there that's just waiting for them if they're willing to get up and get it.
Yeah.
Right. It's time, as we've said, to break that cycle of dysfunction, right, Jeff? Sorry, go ahead, Michelle.
No, but it's this is a deep rooted problem. And you know, and the government is, this is worse than Willie Lynch. This is worse than the Willie Lynch letter. This is worse than Jim Crow. This is some deeply rooted creative suffering right here, that you implemented child support 2 decades ago, and it's become so deeply rooted to the magnitude that it's keeping the poor people even poor. You know, and it's not helping anyone. It's not helping the mother. It's not helping the father. And it sure as hell is not helping those poor babies who didn't even ask to be born into society. None of these children asked to be here. None of these children asked to be here. Let me tell you something. My daughter is 27. My son is getting ready to be 24. And let me tell you something. I got a yoke around their neck so tight and deep, it's not even funny. My daughter and her husband just had their second child. So she just like, well, Mom, what if me and JR get a divorce? I said, honey, 2 is enough. Get your damn tubes tied. My daughter got a tube tied. I told my son, you want me to hold your hand while you gonna have a vasectomy because you ain't gonna bring no more children into this world by yourself. My son has custody of his 2 beautiful little boys. My daughter I got 4 grandchildren, 4 grandsons. And I said, it is my duty as an activist, as a grandmother, as their everything, to make sure that I start laying the rebar for this foundation that I'm laying. Because the fight that we're in, it's not for us. It's for our children and their children. It's for them to have a better society. So let me tell you something. We all need to have an offline meet and greet and have a real live. Let me tell you something. I'm speaking this into existence. I see a national syndicated show coming with the 4 of us. I do see that. I see that.
There you go.
A national syndicated show coming with the 4 of us. And
Michelle, I have a lot of fun with you already. I said the energy is awesome.
I love her truth.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm going to have Neely come in definitely and read some of.
I thought I heard Neely.
Yeah, read some of your questions and your comments, obviously, that you have been putting out there, because we want to definitely get across some of the questions that were out there for Michelle, as well as some of the comments as well.
Well, okay. I didn't really see a lot of questions. What I did see was, Michelle, when you were mentioning, it's, fighting over, this is a spiritual warfare. You are right on. This is demonic stuff. And, I appreciate your truth in that. That is what needs to be talked about. I saw a lot of people on here. A lot of people were just, saying, talking about how put on your armor of God, and it is fighting. People are fighting over these children's souls, and I've been on my story, it's spiritual warfare. It is, and God has had me on a journey, girl, and I have been fighting for my little girl since 2008. Ever since from the day she was born, God told me something was going to happen. Well, and I've been fighting for her since 2010. So this is not just a man problem. They have taken my baby away from me. Right. And there is this is spiritual warfare. So we just need, we need godly people in these places. We got to get these bad people out of here.
Right.
What we're facing, Neely, what we're in, and I speak about this all the time. The other day I was driving down to Naples, Florida, and not jumping off the subject, but there's a young 27-year-old black man. The state prosecutor said, hey, look, we can't charge this young man with anything because he was in the right. He didn't do anything wrong. The judge hates blacks so bad, he reopened his case. His first day of his trial started yesterday. Today was day 2. I couldn't make it, but 6 a.m. in the morning, I'm going to be back on the road again to Naples, Florida, to continue to watch this trial closely. But we are battling the principalities of darkness. There are so many dark people in this world because, just like, let me tell you something. The name of my radio program is Stay Woke. And when I first watched, that movie Get Out, and when I seen it, those people are in sunken places. They want to have the power. They want to have the control. They want to have everything. And that's what's going on. The government wants power. well, I take that back. I have to give them their rightful title. These pimps want these pimps want everything. These pimps want power. They want control. And just like I say, for the love of money, it is the root of all evil. The more money that they think that they can make and how they can become creative about getting it, the more evil they become. Look at Bill Nelson. That old fart need to get his ass out of office for real. But who the hell we want to replace him with? Who are we going to replace him with? Rick Scott? I don't think so. Fire Marshal Bill is going to put out some of these fires he done started.
That's right. That's right. And she is hot, ladies and gentlemen. I think that that is a great spot. Obviously, we're going to have to let you go for this evening. We'll have to have you on again as well, because we're just scratching the surface of some of this stuff. I mean, it's just absolutely atrocious, some of the things that are going on. But we definitely want to thank you for your time. And
I can't believe, Jay, I can't believe the hour is over with Michelle already. I usually have that, Michelle, I have a little depression that goes on about 10 minutes before the show ends, but I'm getting a little early with you being gone. Thank you so much for joining us. It was a blast.
Yes.
And we'll definitely be in touch. And
all of you guys get my number from Jesse. All of you guys get my number from Jesse, because whenever you guys need me to plug something in, don't forget, my highest rated video on Facebook, and the numbers are still going up. That's why I'm a threat to the government now. I'm like at 3.8 million now. So it's still, that video is still getting up there. I mean, my work in activism speaks for itself. And like I say, I'm looking for collaboration. I'm looking to work with great people across the U.S. so we can start making great change for our children and their children. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. And the people out there that want to get in touch with you and see some of your videos as well, how can they get in contact with you and watch or listen to your show and different things?
My public phone number is 813-857-8170. Anyone in the U.S., anyone can call me on that number. And I'm an open book with transparency. I got to ask. I have to be what I ask for. My page is not blocked on social media, on Facebook. You can follow me on Michelle Williams. I have a beautiful black and white picture, or you can follow me on Michelle N. Williams. And my Instagram account, it's, I think, Tampa Activist. Yeah, it's Tampa Activist.
Awesome.
On Instagram.
Great stuff. Thank you so much for coming on. We greatly appreciate you.
Thank you, Jay. I love you guys so much.
Thank you, Michelle. We love you. Thank you.
Okay, guys.
All right, here. So awesome stuff so far there. And I'm just amazed that the first hour went by so very quickly, bud.
Thanks. Yeah, awesome energy. Awesome energy, my man, Money Moss. Here we are. We're approaching the top of the hour, 9 o'clock. And, the energy is palpable, as we say, Jay.
Yes.
Tangible, right? Awesome. And I think we're going to bring, Jay, we're going to bring Neely in now to do the middle segment, I believe.
Yes. And definitely want to thank Jesse for having Michelle on as well. Great guest. Amazing. Yeah. Bringing her on.
Jay.
Yeah. So after meeting her Saturday and, talking with her, the show, it was 2 hours and it went by so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And really seeing what she was about and where she was. And then, kind of explaining that this isn't so much a race issue anymore. This is a parental issue, and this is a corruption of our government, and a legal operation of what I call the largest child trafficking system, and really having developing and helping her to understand what Title 40 funding was. I was just amazed at how quickly she got it.
Yep.
She just understood it. There really wasn't much explaining. She just really got it.
Yeah.
She really understood that this is a corruption by child support. This is a corruption by, DHS, DCF, DCCS, whatever the hell you want to call yourselves this week.
Yep.
That this is a parental equality thing, and that this is a deprivation of our constitutional rights. And I immediately I loved her. I did.
Yeah.
I did.
It's kind of hard not to. And I want to say out there, some people, Jay and Jess, and Neely, if she's still on either way,
yeah, sure.
may not agree with Michelle, and they may. We've had.
Oh, I do.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, some people may not, but we've had a lot of different personalities on here, and that's what it's about. We've talked about that, is getting it all together. And it's all about different views. I agree with her too. I think she's wonderful.
Well,
And I'm excited for the future. But my point is, it's getting all these personalities, and the more shows we do, the more it opens up and can give you different opinion. Change your opinions and open up doors for you and just different things. Yeah, absolutely. Jay.
Yeah, we want this movement to be like Baskin Robbins. It's 31 flavors. You pick.
Right. Exactly. And there's people that are drawn. There's always somebody for everybody in terms of some people are just drawn to different people in different ways. Michelle is a high energy, and she puts out a real positive energy. It's easy to be drawn to her.
Yeah, very, very much so. So, yeah, go ahead, Neil.
I was going to say, and it's important too, because, her speaking to her community, the government has tried to make it a race thing.
Right.
They've tried to do that. Think about the shootings. Think about the shooting in Charleston, South Carolina. And the KKK, a lot of people don't know, the KKK, there were some black KKK. The KKK just wasn't all white.
Right.
I mean, a lot of things what we've been told have been a lie, and the government wants us because that's the last thing they want us to be united.
Right.
Well, exactly, Neil. It's a
society. They want an ignorant society. They don't want an informed society. When you become an individual who works towards informing society and advocating for individuals to understand the difference between informed and ignorance, you wind up like not breathing.
Right.
Well, exactly.
Pretty much. So we're reaching the halfway point in our program here.
Okay, so we are going to do some events. Can hear you, Jay, but I will go ahead and read the events for the coming up weeks. April the 27th, which is a Friday, we have the Parental Alienation Awareness Conference, 7 a.m. at the Zim Zim Shrine Club. Please see Lori L. Nicholson for more details on that. May 3rd, we have a book release of Shushed. It's a book by our good friend Aaron Wimble of Clean Law at the Decatur Civic Center, and that starts at 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. May 12th, which is Saturday, we have a Spring Family Fun Fest. Starts at 10 a.m. Crown Plaza, Springfield in Springfield, Illinois. See Dads Can Too or Jesse West Sr. for more details. May 20th, which is Sunday, we have Capital for Kids. Starts at 11 a.m. at the Holiday Inn, Alexandria, Old Town in Alexandria, Virginia. Please see Americans for Equal Shared Parenting for more details. Tickets are $25 to $50, so make sure to get them now. June 6th, which is a Wednesday, Parental Alienation Petition Delivery to APA. Public updates, 7 a.m., Washington, D.C. Shared to Parents United Worldwide. Please see Lori L. Nicholson for more details. We have June 8th, which is a Friday. Remember Baby Stefan. Children Need Their Families, 2 p.m., Nashville, Tennessee. Please see Lydia Hubble for more details. Birthdays. Today, we have Roger Frez, Cheyenne Autumn, Kay Stevens, Patrick Marino, Debbie Gravel, Malik Selby, Charlene Harris. Wednesday, birthdays, Lee Smith, Kathy Watson, Priscilla Payne, Tom Maldy, Cindy Allen, Thomas Bear. Thursday, we have Neil Shelton, Ron Jennings, Daryl Hairston, Justin Jacobson, Marla Acosta, Crystal Brazel, Cindy Carson. Friday birthdays, we have Mike Albert, Amy O'Hare, Barbara Humphreys, Donald Smith, Tracy Penley. Saturday, we have Claire Bowles, Brinsey DeBarnes, Norma Castillo, April Espino. Sunday, we have Tammy Oak, Dudley D. Wright, Jason Simmons, Roy Coyne, Thomas Quick. Monday, we have Feather Vaughn, Danelle Dosher, Chantel Ashman, April Barbara, Darlene Sauer, Juliet Harriman, Katrina Caller, Kendall McCandless, Abby Smith, and Michelle Jensen. And the Far From Normal radio show is copywritten, and copying or transmission of any or all the broadcast of the show is strictly prohibited without express written consent of the Far From Normal radio show's staff and board of directors. So just don't do that.
All right. Can you guys actually hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was having some issues where the system was not even picking up my microphone for some odd reason.
Well, I thank Neely that he's full of it. I think that was a test. See, I put you on the spot the other day, but Neely, you picked up on it in a wonderful way. You picked right up. Awesome. And I want to say yes, classy, my friend. Happy birthday to everybody out there. Make it, it is your day today. You came into the world and changed it forever. Remember that. Yep. Happy birthday to everybody out there. You are special. As our man Money Moss says, you are loved. You are important. Happy birthday. A lot of familiar names on that list this week, as there is every week. It's great to hear. Happy birthday, Jay.
Absolutely. So we're going to get into our second hour here.
Have you ever felt? Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, and we are back on the Far From Normal radio show, and obviously we'll have to add Neely into that video here in a little bit, but definitely significantly, unfortunately, right now, missing on our program. Hey, there he is. Awesome, Mr. Peter McNeil.
Oh, yeah, yes, he's on the milk container. Let me see that. Oh, yes, Jay.
Yeah.
Yes. If anybody has seen him, please look at how good. Look at he's looking good there. He looks excited. Everybody, look at that face. Look at that Pluto. He looks so good. Our handsome man, Pete, the real deal, McNeil. We love him. We miss him. He'll be back soon, ladies and gentlemen. Believe me.
As well, we will definitely do some other things coming up. And we got to talk about those because there's a lot of housekeeping, different stuff going on.
There is, but I want to say that milk behind Jay was not expired. So no. I want to say that milk was not yet expired. And we should, before we get started, Jay, yo, April 24th, 2018, second half, baby. My man Jay, Money Moss, and our sister from another mister for the second half, Jesse from Florida. Winer, and we thank Jesse for bringing in that awesome guest, Jesse.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. Amazing first half. I don't know what you thought about it, Jess.
Yep. So she is so I don't live but maybe 40 minutes from her, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I live here in Pasco County, Newport Richey, and she lives about 40 minutes from me. And I never heard of her. Mm-hmm. Ever. And I don't know why, because she probably would have been my BFF. You know, really.
Yeah.
And when she invited me on the show and I started, asking around about her, it seemed like I was like, do you know Michelle Williams? And they're like, oh yeah, she's a Tampa activist. I'm like, well, how the heck have I not heard of her? I've been in the game for a minute and I'm wondering how the heck I never heard of her. And as I started to dig deeper and deeper, and I loved what she fought for. I understand at the superficial rate level, it may be like, she only favors, one race or whatever, but that's really not the truth when you get down to it. She is so much for equality, transparency in our courtrooms. I mean, she has been a part of getting magistrates and judges, taken off of their seats because of their unlawful, unethical, unconstitutional ruling. So I was so excited after I realized who she was and what she was about, and going on her show this weekend, this past weekend, was just it was amazing. It was like the next
Yeah, and
well, I think Jay. Go ahead, Jay, and then I'll go.
I was going to say that video of the broadcast, the radio broadcast, actually went viral. So it is out there, and people know it as well. And to get to one of our big housekeeping things, like we were talking about in our first hour with Michelle, was the video that had reference to do with a attorney by the name of Michael Strauss, who stated under his petition trying to discredit HB 4113. We'll just say it that way. He is an opponent of the bill, and his bar association is as well. So we had played, I had played that video, a cut video of that particular instance. And so evidently from this, there have been some death threats, evidently reported. I don't know if they are true or if they're not true. It's just been reported. And so the Illinois Fathers for Equality has put out a statement that I would like to read to you at this time, and it's very important that you all hear this statement. As president of the Illinois Fathers for Equality, I would like to make a formal statement in regard to the video of Michael Strauss testimony in committee. Our organization had nothing to do with the editing or uploading of the video in question to YouTube. Although we did share the video on our page, we also want to make it clear that we do not encourage, promote, or condone violence or threats of violence. Although the ILFFE and Mr. Strauss may not agree on HB 4113, we understand that it is a professional, he opposes the bill. However, as a family-oriented organization, we would never want anything negative to happen to Mr. Strauss or his family. And that is a direct quote from Chad Loudermilk and the ILFFE Board of Directors. So I wanted to make sure that we got that out. Very, very important housekeeping note. If you are in this movement, what we practice is nonviolent resistance. Nonviolent resistance is what we call it. It's definitely the same proposed type of resistance that Dr. Martin Luther King supported, and that's what we're all about in this movement. We are not about violence or condoning violence in any way, shape, or form.
Well,
comments?
Jay, the other side of that, as an individual in a state who has previously led legislation on shared parenting, I have seen, I'm just going to say it the way it is. I have seen the corruption of the state bar, and I have seen to what extent that they will go to ensure that a bill is not passed. So they discredited us as the Florida Fathers' Rights Movement. They spent $150,000 the day before legislation was due to become law to lobby against it. So I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but I would not put it past the bar to have published this and then to have promoted it on a not so ethical or truthful platform.
Right. And I know I have a good understanding of who did it and why it was done, in which they put out the video and why it was edited. And it was edited in reference to some of the comments probably that I had made in the past, where I had pointed out the fact that this person in reference from the Bar Association, who's big in the Bar Association, who said this would highly affect, passing a shared parenting bill would highly affect our welfare system.
Absolutely.
And LaShawn K. Ford had piped up that is absolutely ridiculous. It's I want to get his absolute quote here so I don't misrepresent it if I can find it here. Unfortunately, obviously my Facebook is playing games on me, but definitely LaShawn K. Ford had said that it's not in our child's best interest to even interpret things about the welfare system. That's not in their best interest to even know or even be concerned about the welfare system. And I'm absolutely in agreement with that. It is not in our child's best interest to be taken or to have a custody decision or evaluation based on the welfare.
Or never mind the $19 billion that Illinois received last year in federal Title IV-D incentive money. We don't want to discuss the $19 billion that state received, because I have facts and figures.
Right. And I think that there's a lot of people that do, because I know that Illinois Fathers for Equality and Dads Can Too out there are doing a great, fantastic job. I want to say Americans for Equal Share Parenting, kind of guiding that along. Our good friend out there, I know he's watching, Jesse West Sr., love you, brother. Dads Can Too. So many events and stuff that they take place in Springfield in support of equal share parenting that they do out there, different nights, different things that they're doing. But I've seen the paperwork. I mean, we're talking stacks and stacks and stacks of paperwork that were in reference to actual studies that were done. Is it in a child's best interest to have one parent be a custodial parent or non-custodial parent, or is it in the child's best interest to have both parents in their lives equally? All of those studies were done. Those studies costed an exhaustive amount of money to do, and they were all done by different groups that were equality based. They were not.
Shared parenting had come together, and and they compiled 110 of the most recent peer-reviewed, okay, because you have to understand that there's a difference between a study and a peer-reviewed article, right? A peer-reviewed article means that peers in your group have reviewed your article and found it to be of substantive measure. That what you're saying isn't just a whole bunch of facts and figures put together by Jesse Weiner and presented to you. Like, these are double checked and triple checked and then quadruple checked, and they're peer reviewed. These are collegiate, references that people use. 110 of the most prominent individuals have come together with the National Women for Shared Parenting and came to the demise that equal is in the best interest of the children. Not equal when you can co-parent, because equal when you can co-parent means have the states evaluated if you guys can work together or not. That's really what it means.
Right.
It means equal. And I think the most recent thing had something like there's 12 different ways to share equal. Was that was it 12? I
think it was 12. And there were different shared parenting plans that are out there.
Yeah.
And
there's not a one size fits all, but the one size that does fit all is children have a right to be with both parents equally, and having access to both parents equally is what's in their best interest.
Right.
Hands down.
Right. And I think that is the case, except for when you have, and that's why these rebuttal presumptions are built in the bill as well. If you have domestic violence, if you've
domestic violence. I want to be very careful with this, and I continue to step on that, but
that's all right.
Domestic violence, not the silver bullet domestic violence.
Yes.
True domestic violence.
True domestic violence. Yes. True
or
domestic
abuse
violence.
or neglect.
Yes.
Or abuse or neglect.
Yeah. Those are all built into the rebuttal presumption, so that way a judge can deviate from those, but in order to deviate, they would need to list why with clear and convincing evidence. hey, here's the evidence in standard. Here's why we're deviating from it. And so that there is a possibility for some parents to rehabilitate themselves. And I say some because there's some issues you're just not going to be able to rehabilitate from.
There are.
Or issues where the child would just be in too much particular danger. Those are going to happen. But in the norm, when we're talking about domestic violence as well, this is a interesting particular topic, because when we do the research in a lot of these different things, we're seeing, I believe it was 0.003% of those cases are actual true domestic violence cases.
Yep.
That's
And
pretty
in the majority,
not mine.
in the majority of true domestic violence cases, like true victimization, the majority of men are men, and it goes unreported because of the stereotyping of men and the weakness that they're viewed in that light if they do report themselves being victims.
Right.
And I'm not downplaying women as domestic violence victims. Please, please don't.
No.
That's not what I'm saying.
Because there are a lot of them.
Yeah.
But there are, you're right. There are a lot and a huge number of female true domestic violence victims. But it is for men too. And
Right.
and this is where our society, we take that machoistic approach at things, and also where the unreal feminists downplay things.
Right. And I think that there also is different factors that we're going to be coming in later on. But obviously HB 413, some of the other shared parenting bills that are out there, of course, are going to be addressing this main particular topic. If we can get this main particular topic to come through, now we can start talking about some of the other things that are going on, parental alienation, some of the dance card booking issues, some of these things where it's hey, look, you need to respect, but we've got to stick on particularly these topics as well. And I want to get out also that Missouri Senate hearing is tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., Mark Ludwig has said. And he also wanted to let everyone out there know that on May the 20th, which we're having the event out there in D.C., Capitals for Kids, and that's all for Americans for Equal Share Parenting, is putting that together. I know that representatives from our show will be out there. We would love to meet you out there. We'd love to shake your hand. Thank you for watching the show. So definitely come out there, and we will be out there for that event.
Absolutely, Jay. I'm going to be down there. I'm excited about it, as is Jesse, and it looks like Pete may be down there as well. And I got to say, Mark is doing amazing work, tireless work. There are so many people. You mentioned LaShawn, who we've had on before, Mr. Loudermilk, who we've had on before. Amazing men, men who I respect, men who are, as Jesse has said, are actually, as I say too, living it like they spit it. They're putting their feet on the ground and doing work that needs to be done. And it's awesome. It's awesome to see. Right. So come join us May 20th. Mark Ludwig and Americans for Equal Shared Parenting. It's going to be an awesome time. I'm excited.
Yes, and I know one of the speakers, he told me, look, just to cue you in, one of the speakers happens to be Thomas Fiddler. Thomas Fiddler, head of the Fathers' Rights Movement, one of the founders of the Fathers' Rights Movement, will definitely be a speaker that evening. So definitely.
That's exciting.
And for me, that's huge because I got brought into this movement, the Florida Fathers' Rights Movement by Susan Sobolewski, and I got, just deep into it. Like I didn't just dive. I jumped off the canyon without a scuba gear. I hear you. So to meet him and to see what he pioneered, and not only pioneered but stands behind and fights for, that's great.
Right, and I want to get across
Yeah,
also that why it started out originally as the Fathers' Rights Movement, and because of the trademark and the different things accomplished with getting that up and running and helping so much, that it just stayed the Fathers' Rights Movement. But they are all about equality, and they're trying to be all about equality. There are some extremists on the male side, extremists on the female side. But really it's supposed to be about equality. It's just that that's how they started out. And the trademark, changing a trademark name once you have a 501k up and running and it's active the way it is, that's a very huge, cumbersome process that takes almost $1 million to do. So they thought that it was in their best interest to save whatever 501k money they had invested in people and what they're doing, rather than changing the trademark. So,
Jay, hey, I have a question. What year did the Fathers' Rights Movement actually start?
I don't know that offhand.
Now, nearly
in the 1980s after the huge Sorry, go ahead, bud.
No, go ahead. I said now Neely's putting Jay on the spot, but go ahead. Go ahead. That's good. Good job, rookie.
The Fathers' Rights Movement actually started sometime in the early 80s after we switched to this tender year doctrine.
Right.
Prior to that, the women had gotten together after the initial women's rights movement and equality movement for them. What they were noticing was that the courts were favoring the fathers, and then they reverted and all of a sudden switched gears. And it wasn't in a slow motion fashion. It was like an immediate whirlwind that the favoritism shifted to the mothers overnight. They adopted the tender year doctrine.
Well, in South Carolina, they took the tender years doctrine away.
No, they didn't. They like to tell you that they did. They like to tell you that they took the tender year doctrine away, and they implement things such as time sharing and majority apparent and non-majority apparent. But they still very much, and I know your case is very different, but they still very much operate on the tender year doctrine mentality. And the children need their mothers, and the first 5 years of their lives after they go to school, then maybe they can see their dads every so often. But the breastfeeding can only be done by the mother, because the mother is not capable of pumping, right? And then freezing, and then the father feeding. Right. So these are all things that it started in the 1980s. It was a very quiet movement. It was a very slow movement. It didn't get very much traction, and then all of a sudden, probably over the last, I don't know, maybe 9 years, so maybe since 2010, it started to pick up. States started to realize, and now as we continue to work towards exposing Title IV defunding, the truth is really coming out on why these states are really doing what they're doing. It doesn't have anything to do with the protection of mothers' rights, the protection of fathers' rights, the tender year doctrine, the parental rights that are constitutionally protected. It has nothing to do with that, and it has everything to do with the money that the states are making off of the child trafficking system that they operate through Title IV defunding.
Yeah. And making legislation up.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, well, I want to say, Jay, I'm sorry, going back quickly to Mr. Fiddler, it's definitely exciting. Mm-hmm. As Jesse said, I was the same way when I got into this a couple years ago. I dove right in. And Mr. Fiddler was one of the first ones. Obviously, the Fathers' Rights Movement was one of the first organizations that I stumbled onto. And Mr. Fiddler, I've had more than one conversation with him, and I'm excited. I've had a lot of people reach out that know I'm going and say, "I can't wait to shake your hand." I'm like, "Hey, everybody out there, I can't wait to shake your hand." Yeah. I can't. Some of these people are my heroes. Mark Ludwig, the pioneers like Mr. Fiddler, people like that I'm, we're just kind of following those footsteps. So to meet some of these people for me is honestly, it's going to be a treat.
Right. I think it's an honor for us whenever we're out in the community and we're allowed to meet some of our listeners, and we get an opportunity to shake hands and kiss babies, so to speak.
The handshake is one thing. I'm going to be giving a lot of hugs too. I can feel that coming.
Yeah.
I can feel that coming.
But it is an honor. It's definitely an honor for us. I mean, you see a production, you see a staff that's doing some of these things behind the scenes, but we're humble people. We're just people like you. We go through the same things that you do. We put our pants on the same way as you do. and we love our children just as much as you do, and want to be in our child's life just as much as you do. That's why we do what we do. If we weren't, we wouldn't be doing this, and we would be running a show with celebrities every single week talking about what did they had for lunch, instead of talking about how do you feel about children's rights, how do you feel about parents' rights.
Who I really like to interview, and maybe you guys could help me out with who it was, but he's an actor, and he was in the Fast and Furious, and he had a daughter, and his ex-wife had alienated her from him, and he had gotten on live, video, Facebook Live, and he had exposed the parental system.
Yeah. Tyrese Gibson.
Tyrese,
That's what I would love to interview, because let me tell you, he has a true understanding of he's right up there with Brad Pitt. How you could have all the money and all the power in the world, but still be reduced to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that video.
Yeah, and just be begging for your life, begging just to see your child, begging for every inch of everything you have.
Right.
Yeah, Jay, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I know that some of his friends had even given him a hard time about the particular issue.
Yep. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett. They wanted to pay him to be quiet.
Well, I mean, yeah, of course they want to, I mean, they're trying to not be involved in that process because they know, that those are the issues. But Will Smith, of all people, should know what it was like. Some of these people should know what it's like going through this particular issue, and you love your child, you want to be around your child as much as possible, and the courts just are not allowing it. It's not a matter of sometimes even economics in some particular aspects. It's not a matter of that. It's a matter of control. It's all a matter of control. And it's just unfortunate. And
well, it shows us, Jay, that as Jesse said, it doesn't matter the amount of money. It's children, as we've talked about, children are pure. Their love and our love, the normal love that a parent has for a child, is overwhelming. Is the only word I can use, and it doesn't matter who you are, rich, poor, whatever your status is financially. It drops the toughest men to their knees. We've seen it.
Right. And I know that Facebook Live is playing some little games on us again, it seems like. So I apologize for that. It is Facebook Live. It's not Zoom, the broadcaster that we're going through. These are the people out there who have the money and the funds, and they're trying to shut down the message that we have. And it happens quite frequently out here. Unfortunately, we've got Mr. Zuckerberg, who wants to tell you that he can go before Congress and he doesn't give out your information. Well, if he doesn't give out your information, then how are you getting hacked every other day? So quite frankly, Mr. Zuckerberg, Marky Mark, I have nothing but issues and problems with you, and if you'd like to take it up with me, I'd love to take it up with you. We'll take it up live on the Far From Lowell radio show. How about that?
Get your booster seat ready.
Yeah, and this time I'm going to give you some questions that Congress didn't give you. Well,
whatever the issues are on Facebook, I'm showing up still live streaming, so we're going to keep rolling, baby.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah, we're going to keep rolling.
Still rolling. We are still recording, so it's not a problem. If something happens and we get off rail here on the Facebook Live, it's not a problem. It's recorded. We'll download it. We'll download it on YouTube as well.
Oh, yeah.
Which is out there. Yeah. You can check out our YouTube site. You can check out our Twitter account, which is FFN Radio Show as well. Mr. Pete McNeil updates that all the time for us. Great job.
He does. He does.
And there's just a lot that's going to come out. So May 20th, I'm telling you, if you can get there, get there. I understand there are some issues, court, different things like that, finances, but if you can get there, please do get there. I think the seats are $25 and $50. All of that goes towards getting the place paid for. This is not something that Mark Ludwig is making any money off of. This is something that he's trying to put together to get out there. He travels a lot. And let me tell you something. I got a call right after the Far From Normal radio show, I believe it was last week. And he said that he was rolling through Pontiac, Illinois on his way for the next session, going down to Springfield in the morning. And I said, well, you want to stay here? And so, I mean, he does that a lot, where he stays at people's houses to save some money. I mean, or spends his own money to do these particular things, and it travels a great distance because he loves your kids just as much as you love your kids, and he's trying to bring them home. And that's what we're all in this movement for, is to try and bring good children home to good, sound, fit parents. And that's what we're all about.
Yep. And you know, Jay, and Bud and Neely, one of the things that we speak about a lot in this movement is, as much as we love our children, this movement, the current state of this movement, this isn't about us.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't legislation that's going to predominantly affect us. But what it is doing is it's taking good, sound, just, loving parents that are setting the next movement for our children, so they won't have to suffer through this, so they won't have to go through this injustice, through this fight, through this, debate of, do I take my own life or do I try and fight one more day?
Right.
That's what we're doing today. And it really took me a moment to get that. I'm a bonus mom in this movement. And I love my bonus kids so much in the same fashion and the same nature that I love my biological kids.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
To know that it's not going to affect that relationship that, Tim or I or myself or, share with these children, but to know that they'll never have to go through that again, that's all it takes. Just to know that is the payout. To know that there'll never be, or at least the lessened risk will be of another estranged relationship, and that I'm teaching, and that Tim's teaching our children the right way to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Jesse, awesome. And Jay, I'll tell you, my oldest son, he was over to his other house here this past weekend, and it was funny, not funny, it was beautiful. He got out of the car, and my youngest, as you guys know, Mason, was. They were already embracing when I came around the car, and they were just saying, I love you, and just hugging it. And Mason was in tears, and I put my arm around Alice, and I said, I did good, baby. My point is, it should have never been that hard, but those sort of relationships are what as Jesse said, that's what it's about, the future. And I've been to the bottom of the bottom. I mean, I'm talking suicidal years and years ago, to the top of the top, to getting joint legal custody. So I've had those fluctuations of emotions, that absolute despair, where there's that hopeless feeling, that helpless feeling, to the biggest adrenaline rush of my life. And so since I've been to both of those levels, I don't want to see anyone at that bottom level, and I want to see everybody with that massive rush that I had. And also seeing my children, and even on the final video I did, Jay, the victory video, I call it, is it had an audio in there of Mason, and then Carter had left me a message. And it just, every time I listen to that and see it, I get teared up because of them and because of their voices, how excited they were. And every child deserves that. Every parent and child, healthy, loving parent, deserves that, and so do siblings. And Jesse has that term, bonus mom. I love that so much.
Yeah.
That's one of the best terms for a step, and I hate that term step even. It's a bonus parent. And what better thing? I say all the time when it comes to step parents, bonus parents, whatever you want to call it, what a wonderful thing that a child, if the child has to be in a situation where the parents are split, what a wonderful thing if the step parents and all the parents can come together and give the child even more support.
Yeah, and I've seen some situations like that. I think I've seen a couple of photos out there on Facebook.
Yes,
where
I know the one you're thinking of.
Yeah, they were all dressed out in the soccer outfit, and it was mom and bonus mom and bonus dad, and it was great. I think that's amazing.
It is.
Just because you don't get along with your ex, it is not your child's fault. And you need to get that across, that point across. You don't necessarily have to like your ex. You don't have to like them at all, because obviously you're probably going to be their opponent in court on quite a frequent basis. You don't have to like them, but you have to respect them because they are the other half of your child. And I think that that's an important piece that we need to remember.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I'm going to respectfully disagree, and I'm going to say you have to respect your child.
Yes. Well, respect your child enough to not let that affect you. Yes.
Right. And because in a lot of situations where you have high conflict divorce and you have allegations of abuse or neglect, or, what have you, there's such an emotional disheartening that you can't respect your ex. You can't, you haven't yet found the ability to move past. So what you can benefit from is channeling that towards your child. Yes. And understanding that the level of respect is towards your child. That if you can't co-parent, you unilaterally parent,
parallel parent, Jessica.
Parallel parent. I'm sorry, the term forgot or left me. So
Jesse's the one who taught that to us. So there you go.
Know, right? So you parallel parent with the respect for your child, because you take the ex out of the equation. The ex is irrelevant. He or she is no more of matter. The relationship is gone. You respect the child, and you respect that child's right to have an equal relationship with both parents respectfully. It's not about you. It's just about the kid.
Right.
Exactly. And I'll tell you, no matter what, and Jesse, well said, and as putrid as the other party might be, your child's other parent, remember, folks out there, you can't hear it enough, that is the child's other parent, no matter what. If you're saying negative things, that's 50% of that child, that other parent. Mm-hmm. So you're cutting that child down, and no matter what happens, that child innately loves the other parent.
Right.
So as hard as it can be sometimes, again, like Jesse said, it's selfish. And it's really immature and weak when you bring a child into it, because it's only going to harm them. You end up having issues like Jesse, when we've all talked about, like I've had in life, like Jesse's had, like you've had, Jay, Neely, I'm sure. We've all, when we've been through things like that, we're put in the middle as children. It affects us later in life, whether people want to admit that or not. It's absolutely a fact.
Yeah, and that's part of alienation that nobody wants to recognize. When one parent talks shit about another parent to make them look lesser of a parent or in a derogatory fashion, that is parental alienation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's awful, and I see it with my son. I see it with every day. We see it in the movement. But again, it's about staying in control and recognizing. Again, I say all the time, if somebody's doing that, they're still attached to you emotionally. Mm-hmm. If somebody's cutting you down, they still have a thing for you. So you can have confidence in that, because again, number one, happy people don't cut others down. They only attempt to build them up. I tell my boys that all the time. It's an absolute fact. Number two, if somebody at every turn is talking about their ex and it's constant, that's because they still got a thing for them. But again, it like Jesse says, if you can, as hard as it is, believe me.
What if a grandparent's doing it?
Well, yeah, I mean, that happens sometimes.
I think that's some mental issues going on.
Well, I think that's
it's for the purpose of empowering the parent. They're attempting to aid and support in their parental alienation. And I would probably remind them that it is a constitutional violation of our right as parents to have any kind of third-party division of parental responsibility to a grandparent, because it's unconstitutional.
Right.
I'm going to say that again. And they should probably back off.
Right. Well, there are some things with grandparents' rights, and I don't want to go too far on them, because grandparents should have some rights to be able to see their grandkids and pass on their heritage. That's always a great thing. But there's a passing on of a heritage, and then there's a control issue.
Yeah.
The control issue is not allowing a parent to be a parent. You've got a real issue. You've got a control issue.
Yeah.
You need to take
I
care
can't
of
tell
it.
you, Michelle and I discussed this very thing about how many mothers were up at the podium in domestic violence injunction hearings, in child support establishment and enforcement hearings, aiding their children along in the further extortion and alienation of the fathers. It sickened me. And the courts support this. The courts think that these are like great parents who are here to support them.
Yeah, well,
You know, how thankful they should be. No.
yeah, well,
Anything like my mother, they never should have been a mother in the first place.
well, yeah, Jesse and I have that kinship. And I'll tell you this too, I say this all the time. Karma is a real thing, guys. We talk and we all agree on that, I know. And people don't think enough into the future. And I tell people all the time, to the alienators out there, the parents that are trying to pit the child against the other parent, that child's going to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to recognize what you've done, and you're going to have to answer to that child one-on-one someday. It's a pretty good chance that they're going to come to you when things, again, the truth always comes out.
Amen.
And if you're still alive, that child is going to come to you and say, what the hell?
Yeah.
And you're going to have to look them in the eye. You got to lie point blank or tell the truth. And again, save yourself that hell.
Yes.
Right.
Of having to answer to your innocent child as to why you abused them and why you kept them from the other parent and or bashed the other parent, which is 50% them.
And if you
now,
lie to them, you know, you're going to hell.
well,
If you're not and you're trying, the child asks you and you just lie to them, you just need to go. You don't even want to hear.
Oh.
Go put it, you know.
well, I'll tell you. Well, it's as Jay knows too with my boys and my oldest too, because he has a lot of questions. My youngest, as a lot of people know, I have with my wife. I've been with her for a dozen years, and Mason's 7. But Carter, I have with his mother from about 13 years ago or so, and it's been a challenge. It's been a serious challenge, and to see the effects that it has on him, and you can see it. And I try to kind of keep it on that level for him because you can see the differences in the two boys, and obviously everybody has different personalities, but because of the things that my oldest has experienced and how he reacts to that and reacts to other things in life it's very noticeable.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And I'm going to read off some of the a little bit of the calendar that we have out there for you that you guys can kind of look forward to. Some of the people that we will have on here in the future. We're talking about Nathan Allentoff. I believe I said that right, from FCLU. I believe we'll be on next week. A. Blair Dunn, who is running for the Attorney General in New Mexico, will be on the 8th of May.
Jay, I gotta say, I checked out his page and some of the stuff that you would put. That's gonna be great. I'm looking forward to that. Go ahead.
It's gonna be amazing because
New Mexico is a killer state.
New Mexico, yeah.
When it comes to Title 40 funding and
Yes.
whatnot, they have one of the lower ends of it. So the likelihood, I don't know if they do have, but they're only averaging about 7 billion in Title 40 funding incentive money. So they may be one of the easier states to pass equal time sharing.
Right, and as a running attorney general, he is definitely against Title 40 funding. He has already come out with that statement. He's running on that platform as well. So it's going to be great on the 8th.
If I'm not mistaken, isn't he also a victim of the system? If I'm not mistaken, I believe he's been through the ringer a little bit. I could be wrong about that.
Right, I believe so.
I could be intertwining some people, but I'm pretty sure. People out there, if you're curious, I just made people curious. Go look. Go look at his page. It's it would behoove you to do that.
Yeah, and let me correct myself. They are only at 2 million. So 2 million. So if Florida is sitting at $34,069,913, Mexico is sitting at 2 million.
Right. Right. So then on the 15th, we have a very, very famous comedian, Claudius Dovala, on, and that actually may end up turning into our Far From Normal comedy night. We may have 2 comedians on that night. I want to make sure that I confirm that later on, but I don't want to put that name out there. But this person that we may be talking to them is going to bring some different child support type things into play with comedy as well. So we will definitely nail that one down. And then we will have a special broadcast on May the 20th at DC Live. So that's some of the things to come and look forward to coming up. Definitely a special broadcast May the 20th. We're all in for that. You'll be able to meet and greet us. We would love to meet and greet you. And definitely, as always, we're going to have different aspects out there. If you have a particular story that you want to get out, please contact us at the Far From Normal Radio Show at gmail.com. We'd love to hear your story. We'd love to talk to you and help you maybe possibly condense that story. Definitely want positive and empowering stories as well, because unfortunately we have a lot of people who are going through the movement. And when you first come into this movement, you are a Debbie Downer. Let's be quite honest. And we want to get to the fact of you've hit that rock bottom moment, you're on your way back up, or you have been on your way back up. And those are the type of stories that we want to hear. We want other people to hear about how you were successful in coming out and what you're doing now. So definitely reach out to us at Far From Normal Radio Show at gmail.com. We would be happy to hear your stories. Definitely also, if you haven't already, give us a like on our Facebook page at the Far From Normal Radio Show at Facebook.
Absolutely, Jay. I think we're creeping up on 1,100. I know that.
Yes.
And that's a wonderful thing. Thank you to the folks out there who like the page and the people that like it in the future and the people that have liked the shows and shared. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Keep it up.
Definitely. And
Neil, are you going to the DC event?
I'm waiting on some news right now, so I will let everyone know coming up in the next probably 2 weeks. I should know if I'm coming.
And what do we say, Neely? What's meant to be will be, right?
yes.
Right?
Absolutely. If it's supposed to if it's supposed to happen, and where there's a will, there's a way, and things happen the way they're supposed to happen. So we'd love to see you there.
What state, Neely?
Say that again.
What state are you in?
Bro, right now I'm in Kentucky.
So, guys, when you tune in and you see the Far From Normal Radio Show, you're seeing Illinois, you're seeing Kentucky, you're seeing New Hampshire, you are seeing Florida, and possibly when our good buddies on, you'll be seeing Brooklyn in the
Well, maybe it's the Brooklyn guy who makes us so crazy.
Yeah, that's what it is.
No, I have been labeled as crazy in this movement.
Well,
wow, that's endearing. That's flattering, isn't it? Yeah,
you're far from normal.
You're far from normal. I knew that. I knew that. Jay sneaks it in. That's kind of like the Rose Wallow. Jay sneaks it in every show. He waits and he gets it in at the perfect time. Yet again, money. Boom, boom, every shot in.
Zinger, definitely. And I know that there are some particular attorneys that have listened to and judges that have listened to our show out there in North Carolina. How you doing?
Well, some other places too, Jay. We know that.
New Jersey.
We heard news this week. All over the place.
Yeah.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Yeah. We got a lot of news this week about different judges and attorneys listening to our shows, and I know that different judges and attorneys have the burned copies of our shows, so that's great too. But don't you go selling those, Your Honor. Royalties, baby. You don't think you're getting away with that? Copywritten, baby.
Hey,
That's
Jay,
right.
I've got a few questions about the 50-50 shared parenting. When a lot of these bills start getting passed, because that is the plan, that is the purpose. What do these parents? I've got a bunch of people that have been in this, have been fighting, are being alienated. What do they do? Is that going to be in these bills? I've gotten a lot of questions about that.
Well, right. The issue out there right now is that they feel a lot of these bar attorneys and judges are really feeling as if the system will be completely drained in all of this because we're going to have so many people rushing into court once this takes place. probably not the case because this is happening after the fact. So you're going to have to pay to come back into court and do a modification of child custody on those cases and ask that the current law be applied. In that instance, it's up to a judge's discretion. However, again, clear and convincing evidence would come into play on why the child custody should be changed, and that it is actually in the best interest of the child. Those things will come into play, but you would want to do a modification of the child custody. So you have to go in and do that. So you will have to pay to play again. So you'll see, and it's not like, obviously, hey, look, these judges and attorneys, you're still gonna make your money because you're gonna have people coming into court wanting that modification.
Yeah, I've got.
Well, so I'm going to interject here too. Also, you have to check your law. You have to check your state law and what your statutes are. So Florida statute 61.13. Again, I'm not an attorney. This isn't legal advice. This is just what I'm going to be a part of the system. And anything we've said isn't legal advice or anything of that nature. But so according to Florida statute 61.13, in order to file for a modification of timeshare, you have to have substantial, material, and unanticipated change in circumstances that are in the best interest of the child to warrant a time-sharing modification. And or if, according to Florida law, again, this is Florida because this is what I'm familiar with, if you are denied parental time sharing and you can prove that within a court of law, that is an avenue for you to request additional time sharing if it's in the best interest of the child. The important factor here is that the best interest of the child is completely an objective term that judges can use from point A to point XYZ. Right. It doesn't matter the end, 1, 2, 3. You have to prove that it's in the best interest of your child.
Right. Right. So sometimes that's hard to do.
Yeah. Even if we pass rebuttable presumption, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to have any bearing or effect on previous time-sharing plans and or current pending modifications. This is for, again, I want to bring it back to, this is for the future. This is for children moving forward. So, we want you guys to get on the bandwagon of let's fight for parental equality with the understanding that it may not be today.
Right, exactly. And some of these things you're really going to have to play with, but we're getting in very, very close to our time here, so I'm going to go ahead and give a couple of minutes here. Obviously, on our sad part of the show, the show is almost over, but we want to give our shout outs here, and our shout out time definitely start up with Mr. Bud Vino.
Yes, Jay. The depressing part of the show, the last 10 minutes, we're about the last 5 right now. April 24th, 2018, another wonderful show. We say it before every show, it's going to be the best, and it was again. Thank you to my man, Jay Money Moss, my sister from another mister from Florida, Jesse Weiner, Neely, the power forward, I call her. Our guest, Michelle Williams, thank you. It was amazing. We're going to be talking again to my brother from another mother, Kevin Moran, John Mondu from my BBC. Again, as always, to the people out there, keep your chins up, keep fighting. And quickly, to my little asbestos buddy, I love you, pal. And to my big asbestos buddy, I love you, buddy. I'll see you soon. And to my wife, Allison, I love you. And again, to all the people out there fighting, keep fighting. It's an emotional thing. Keep your emotions in check. In the end, this is going to make you better. It's going to make you stronger. Be thankful when things come up in your life that are, well, one last thing. Be thankful when things come up in your life that are tough because it teaches you how strong you are, Jay.
All right, and he gets the whip. All right, so we're over to Jesse Weiner.
So I think I'm going to start going before Bud because I don't think I can really follow his introduction. So I'm going to type up petitions requesting.
That's a way. Whatever. And Jess, if it gets you to be like you were tonight, which I got to say, Jay, Jess, you were phenomenal. You were on fire. I knew this would happen. I want to say quickly, I watched the show Saturday. I could feel I think that experience was awesome for you. It helped you grow. I can feel the difference. You're better and better and better and better every show, Jess.
Awesome. All right, so Jesse, your shout outs.
So shout out to each and every parent out there continuing to fight the fight, because it's probably the hardest thing you're ever going to do. Michelle, thank you for coming on the show. You're great. I look forward to a long relationship with you, and to Bud and Jay always for bringing me on the show.
Awesome. She gets the parrot. All right.
The parrot and the whip. The feather and the whip.
Neely. Neely shout outs here.
Shout out to Michelle Williams for being on the show tonight. She was awesome. Would love to hear from her and talk to her and, get on this bandwagon with what she's doing in Florida. Shout out to my girls, my 3 angels. Of course, my oldest, Mackenzie, Isabella, and Adriana. Y'all are my world, and you are why I fight every day and have been so for so long. Shout out to all the parents out there that are watching. Keep your head up, keep fighting, keep praying. Shout out to God. If it wasn't for him, he wouldn't have me in this movement, and I wouldn't be, affecting the people that I am affecting and helping. Shout out to our military that protects us every day. Shout out to our president, Donald Trump. Please keep him in your prayers. He's trying to help us, and there's just a lot of pressure right now. And shout out to my far from normal radio family. So
absolutely. Come on!
Oh, and she gets the horse there in the Kentucky Derby. Awesome stuff.
My man, Money Moss.
So definitely I want to give a big shout out to our missing brother out there, Mr. Peter McNeil.
Mr. Milk Carton McNeil. Milk Carton McNeil.
He gets the car horn anyway, even though he's not here. So I want to definitely thank Michelle Williams for coming on tonight. Amazing guest. I want to thank definitely all of you, our FFN listeners out there. We love you. We appreciate you. Want to definitely thank my FFN fam here and the amazing stuff that they're doing and putting out on their own even. Definitely you saw Jesse go out there, make a viral video. Bud's done empowerment stuff. Neely's doing stuff all over with emoluments. Pete's doing stuff with his case and helping other people as well. So many people out there doing amazing things. You just need to get on board.
We keep rolling.
Let it roll.
Don't stop.
Yeah, never, ever stop. Never, ever quit. Your children out there love you, and they want you in their lives just as much as you want to be in their lives, okay? Never give up. Never give up. So I want to give a big thank you to the board of directors also for the Far From Normal radio show. They always give us great input and always give us great feedback, as always. And definitely want to say to you, as we always say, ending the show, you are important, you are loved, and you are cared about. God bless.
Chins up. Love you guys.
Thank you.